So first things first, Naomi, how are you?
I'm good, yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah, this room's really good for my fragile state of mind right now. Lots of green stuff.
Is that important, your environment, to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, you know, if we were doing this interview in a box, you know, in a metal box in the sun, it would probably be a lot different, you know, I think. Especially when you travel as much as I do, like creature comforts are really like, you know, whenever I'm in a new hotel, I always like make sure I've got like candles, or like I have a kangaroo pelt that I take with me in case the bed sucks, and like I always have to like decorate it a bit, even if I'm just there for one night, just to kind of make it feel a little bit more like home.
I find that interesting because then on the song, on the album, there's the song Homebody.
Yeah.
And it kind of touches upon this
concept.
Where can you feel at home? So is there a specific place that you call
home? It's usually albums. But yeah, the concept of homebody is that really your home is in your body, wherever you are. Like it's about, you know, like you might have external things to make you feel like sanctuary, but really, you know, it doesn't have to be something external to you. It's more of a self-awareness thing. But definitely like more of the senses. So like certain albums, smells like Palo Santo, or like cooking, or you know what I mean? Like, yeah. For me, because I moved around a lot as well when I was little, like my concept of home is usually people, like people or smells or songs, or, you know, as opposed to like, here is your house with all the stuff.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Anyway.
If we go back to the beginning very quickly, was there a moment that you realized you could use your voice in a way that can not only give yourself pleasure, but others as well?
The first, like if I'm going to be completely embarrassingly honest with you, I was in primary school and I used to make up like dance routines, and this was when the Spice Girls were like massive. I would have been like maybe 7 years old, something like that. And we didn't have a CD player, so me and some girlfriends of mine would like come up with these dances, but I would have to sing everything because we didn't have a CD. And I think this was really the first time I realized that I could sing and that it wasn't horrible and it was kind of contributing to something in a very basic level. But I guess, yeah, just my first solo shows, maybe when I was about 17, 18. Yeah, and music for me has always been very therapeutic, and so it's really cool to be able to give and have other people experience that and write to me and tell me. This last album particularly has been really full on because a lot of people have written to tell me that they've lost loved ones, or you know, just like really dark, intimate stuff, which can be a little bit confronting, but it's also the reason why I made the record as well. So it seems to be doing its job.
This might be difficult to describe, but what is it like that's something that you came up with maybe in your bedroom or whatever, that people can connect to it in a certain way?
Yeah, it's really weird. I kind of love that though. I'm a bit obsessed with juxtaposition. I think it's really awesome putting things in different contexts and like seeing how it survives. It's beautiful though, you know, it's really humbling, you know, like I don't really, yeah, I mean, especially with Nakamura, because I wrote that, yeah, when I was like 16, 17, and like, this was before the band even, you know, and I never thought that I would be performing at the Grammys in front of like like a lot of people. So I guess like, yeah, especially with the older stuff, like at least now when I write, and it can go both ways. Like now when I'm writing, I'm like, oh my God, lots of people are going to hear this. It has to be, you know, whereas before it was kind of like, whatever. But I also still like don't let that affect my writing, because you can't ever, you can try and write for a demographic, but like who is to say what is successful and what isn't? And the people who are dictating that don't know anything about creating anything, you know? So, you know, as long as it feels right for you, then people will find a way to it, you know? There's like, I'm a strong believer in there's something for everybody, you know, even if it's the most obscure, you know, I could make a song that's just like paper clips in different containers and record that, and it could go for 25 minutes, and someone in the world would be like, yes, I love paper clips. I'm so glad this person made this song. You know, like, especially with the internet now, it gives you a lot more freedom to find your people. You
that's
know?
also a very, very healthy way of looking at it, because, well, you mentioned Grammy, you had Grammy success, so with those kind of things, I can imagine that adds pressure. So how do you balance those two worlds then? Because you mentioned kind of the creative world, but then there's also the business world.
I actually really struggle with it, but I guess the best way is to find the humor in situations. You know, like, yeah, or I'm a very visual person, so quite often when I'm performing, I'll just like go into my own little universe and tangents. Yeah. I guess just take it with a grain of salt, you know, like, it's funny because I'm really, you know, I grew up with 4 brothers and like, with like skater punks and shit, and so like, I'm used to people messing with me all the time, and so I actually really don't like it when people like dote on me or like, or, you know what I mean? Like, or the people that are too enthusiastically like, oh my God, you're so amazing. And I'm like, I hate that. And so it's just like, this is the part of it that actually I struggle with the most. And like, yeah, sometimes you just got to out-weird the weirdos, you know what I mean? Like,
just say something weird and then
say some like real left shit, and then they'll be like, oh, okay.
They'll leave you alone after that.
Or more just like, you know, get rid of that. Like, to be honest, I feel like the reason that famous people are crazy or are typecast as crazy or like live in these big mansions or, you know, overdose or throw themselves out of windows or whatever is because even though you're surrounded by so many people, like, there's something really isolating about the way that people can idolize you. And I'm, you know, like, I'm not Beyonce or anything as far as fame goes, but I like, so I have been in situations where I'm talking to fans and you just want to like have a genuine interaction, and it doesn't matter what you say, they're more excited about, you know, they could be like, hey, you know, like, how was your day? Or like, what's your favorite, you know, children's TV theme song or something? And they're like, yeah, like taking selfies, and you're just like, sometimes certain social normities just go out the window for people, like, and this is the thing I struggle the most with, because I really love genuine interaction, you know, like, I'm from a big family, and you know, I've been homeless before, and so for me, like, I think you should just generally respect most people, and also, like, the concept of like, you know, because I've met a lot of famous people too, and either they're like super beautiful and humble, or like crazy egotistic. There's no like
in between.
There's no in between, and like, I can see why people get like that, because it's a defense mechanism, you know, and it's hard to remain open when people put you in these awkward situations, you know, and I guess you kind of just gotta mess with it a bit and just like not take shit too seriously, or else you go crazy.
Because I can imagine that idea that people you always expect a certain ulterior motive when in those kind of situations people want something they can make money off you, or is that in the back of your mind then, or is it more?
I think I'm a pretty good judge. Like I'm pretty empathic. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
I either like love people right away, or like you can tell when somebody's not being genuine.
Right.
And even like beyond just human interaction, like creatively, like music. Okay. You can tell when someone's pouring their soul into something versus someone that's like, I'm here cashing out, making heaps of money, you know, like it's a thing. It is kind of, it's my least favorite human trait when people treat you a certain way because they think that you are important or you have money, or you know what I mean, like yeah, I really don't like this quality in people. Right. I think, you know, and it just, to me, it comes from insecurities, really. Like, you know, any kind of classism or, you know, ladder climbing shit is really, it's just not a good look, ever.
So with that in mind then, if we go back to, you mentioned you played your first show when you were 17, some of the songs that you've written, and some I think even ended up on the album you written when you were around that age, 16, 17. What was the ambition then?
I don't know, it was more a necessity.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's interesting that I am where I am now, because it's kind of like, it's just who I am. Like, I get to just be who I am and make a career out of that and meet people and travel, and, you know, it was never like, I'm gonna be a singer, I'm gonna do this. It's just like, this is who I am. Sometimes I have to work as a carny or as a waitress or whatever to pay the rent, and eventually it just got to a point where I could dedicate all of my time to it, you know? And I'm really lucky that's the case. But it was never, I mean, I definitely have vision and I'm a very driven person, but it was never like, the ambition was never for commercial success, and still isn't, you know, like, I'm kind of, there's a Radiohead song and the lyric is everything in its right place, and I'm kind of like, it's kind of like a life mantra for me, you know, just like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and as long as you keep chipping away at it and you're sincere and you're not lazy with your time and your gift, you know, and you put effort into what you do, whether it's creative or not, you know, like, then it'll just be what it's meant to be. And for me, I guess, like, I always had like a really strong sense of direction, even before like, yeah, career talk, you know, just as a person in my life, it's like, and also because my sense of security was taken away from me at a young age, so it really forces you to have a strong internal compass of who you are, you know, and like, either it can like completely shatter you or it can make you. And I think because most compassionate people have suffered in some way, you know what I mean? And some of the coldest people have had their lives handed to them on a silver platter, you know, and it's like, I think it's important to remember that, and also, like, it's something that needs to be maintained as well. It's not like, okay, now you're here, you can treat people like shit, you know, or it's like, the hard part is like, how do you stay open, you know, and I don't know, I'm just surrounded by really good, supportive, beautiful people, you know, like, last night I was hanging with the artist who did the artwork for Needle Pour, and we've never met before, but just like had this instant affinity for each other, and like, you know, I've toured enough now that I feel like I have family in like different cities, you know, and you don't feel so isolated, and you know, it's like you've like, you know, like you attract the right people to you, and it makes you feel less schizophrenic or something.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just like.
No, that's fine. That's perfect. But if I want to go into the creative process then a little bit, because is it a solitary thing then for you?
It depends on the situation, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, unless it's with the band, you know, but even still, we all take the time individually and then we come together and we workshop stuff, so... Yeah, I would say yes, but more in a universal sense, like you're isolated and you're alone with your time and your ideas, but where you're drawing from is like quite a universal place.
Sure.
You know, and so it's like there is an element of connectivity that is beyond just being super internalized and stuff. Yeah, and also influentially, like, you know, I get my ideas from everywhere, and so in a way, it's like another way of being connected to everything. But the writing process, yeah, it's like you collect all the ingredients, and then you really need that sanctuary and that space to kind of let it develop and, you know, sew it together or whatever. Right.
Well, you mentioned the word juxtaposition earlier, so. And then I had to Google this, but haiku is oftentimes, I think, something that has a lot of juxtaposition in it.
Well, I just learned how to do them. Haikus.
But where did that idea come from? Was that one of those moments where you're sitting alone and thinking of...
Haiku actually really came together in no time at all. It's like maybe the quickest song I've ever written in my life. And my best friend is an amazing creative writer and MC and stuff. And we have this practice that when you see 11:11, like the time, then we send each other a haiku, and you have to write it before it turns to 11:12. So you have 11:11 to write it. And especially like when we're in different time zones as well, like you kind of get double. Like I'll just get a haiku out of nowhere and I'll be like, oh, it's 11:11 wherever they are. So yeah, I was just like playing guitar, kind of just, you know, chipping away at chords and ideas and stuff. And then for my birthday, he like got a typewriter and typed out all of the haikus that we'd sent each other over the years, because it's just like in our phones.
Sure.
And he typed it out and like sent it to me. And so I could like look at them all written, and it was like I was playing guitar and I just kind of like picked 3 of my favorite and wrote it.
Okay, so
it was really just like, here's a song, here's an idea.
Okay.